What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to finally another episode of the Nemesis podcast for season 8. Damn, it's been a while. And today I am joined by Midnight.
Hello.
Midnight, welcome, 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 welcome.
Thank you.
Is this the first time you're on the podcast?
Uh, yeah, this is probably the first time. Probably everyone's gonna see me with the face cam. A little face reveal.
Hey, it works. Face reveal Midnight.
Yep.
All right, but without further ado, I know I've been slacking on the podcast a little bit. Sorry about that, guys. It's kind of been a little bit of tipsy turvy about communicating with the YouTube team and also having availability times and to have somebody else to record. But we're gonna talk about some league time now. So we're gonna start off in the provisional league. We're just gonna zoom through this real quick, Midnight. I don't know if you know anything about it. We have
Because
8 teams. Everybody makes the play-ins and or playoffs. But
hmm
you have any input?
Well, I am the GM of Goats now, so I would hope that I know something about them. I just time of this recording. I recently signed. If you look in the transactions, Dino, it's Lucky's friend from another league. So I'm waiting for to see how they'll do with Dino and on Wednesday.
There you go. And we're recording this after the trade drop deadline date, so roster locks are not officially locked up yet, as if players are going non-plan or whatnot. But it's a very interesting move to say the least because I'm also a GM of the Wolfpack of the Provisional League, and my team is currently 1 game underneath you guys with the Goats with a 6-3 record, looking to go 7-3 on Wednesday, which is tomorrow. Overall though, provisional league, I don't think it's too bad. Yeah, it's like a testing kind of league to see where people are, but it just keep the community more active, especially with the lower ranks.
Y-
Truthfully, like I said, everybody makes the least the play in, which the bottom 4 teams make the play in, top 4 make playoffs, and then the bracket will probably go into 6 if I were to assume. I didn't see the bracket yet, and now you can
mhm.
see midnight even more.
Yeah, yeah, it was a little too dark.
A little too dark.
But for me, I think these teams are all pretty good. As I said, rooting for my team to win. I did. I don't know if you know this, but I did try to make some roster moves to try to get Cal or Crispy before the trade drop deadline. Couldn't get that in, sadly. But here we are, waiting for Goats to make it all the way. Didn't Some people don't even know that reason why I want to say the reason why the Goats lost was because of Solid. He hurt his finger. That's all I'm gonna say. Keep making up the excuses. That's all I'm gonna say.
Hey, it is what it is. We're going towards the
Mhm.
back half of the season, so provisional, it's not too extreme because nobody really necessarily cares about the lower ranks of Rocket League. I mean, but that's the funnel system to where you can get up to the higher ranks, and it's eventually going to be a building block to get into novice and higher up. But we can't really talk too much more about provisional. I was going to say Providence Provisional League, as everybody does make the play in, and there are some good teams, there are some bad teams. Like there is in every league that are very noticeable, but it's no need to shun them because everybody will get that chance to win the chip. Alright. So moving on to the novice league, the actual first league that we have. That's, I guess, a part. I don't even know what the exact terminology of it.
I guess
I'm just gonna say
affiliated.
a part of. Yeah,
Yeah,
affiliate. There you
yeah.
go. Affiliated towards the league. So Minette, what are your first thoughts on the novice league for
Uh,
this season?
I don't know if you saw last night, but there was so much drama that was happening last night. I think we had two, three people leave the league. Three people went non-playing. We got two of them to join back in the. It was crazy last night. There's a lot more going on with trade drop deadline. People getting traded in drops right before the trade drop deadline on Sunday. But here we are. They're all back, hopefully. Pawns have one player on the roster right now. That's crazy.
It's one of the middle of the pack teams that don't have a full roster. That's something to look forward to, especially if you're below them to try to make a jump into a play-in position. My point of view of novice, you have your heavy hitters. I feel like it's definitely more top side heavy the season with the standings because you have 11th seed, I guess, that's not in the play-ins is 4 and 9, and the next step up is 6 and 7. So that's a big jump. I mean, yeah, it's 2 games, so it's not that much, but you have to put in perspective. We're starting to get late into the season, and it's going to be very hard for those teams to climb up to the play-in bracket, especially because 4 teams have already clinched a play-in berth. That's kind of crazy to think. We have Kiwis 12-1, also with the Wisps on 12-1, the Vandals 10-3, and also Frost, my boys on Frost that are 9-4. So right now they've clinched, and we'll see if they can possibly make a playoff push. But Midnight, give me your top 2 teams that are underrated. Not necessarily like, oh, I'm taking them to go all the way, but just underrated in general. What do you think that's gonna be a sneaky team moving into this play and playoff, you know,
I think
bracket?
hmm, I think a sneaky team so far would probably be the Spitfires. They kind of were really talked about at the start of the season, then they kind of quieted down. I'm hoping they start picking it back up. I also think that the Vandals, they've been doing good all season, and there's not a lot of talk to them at all. What about you?
Well, I understand that there was a trade for Rooney that actually happened. He went to Aurora. I mean, Aurora was already, I think, decent enough to make it even into the playoffs. I mean, the record is also pretty good, sitting there at 9-4. They're not in a playoff position right now. They're still in a playing position. So that's something interesting and something that you guys can look forward to seeing what they can actually do. I think they're a little bit sneaky, even with Rooney on the roster. And also, I think Ignite. Ignite, I mean, you can't forget about Ignite, especially what happened last season with Ignite. They were down in the dirt. They had to win out. They were 1 game away from elimination, and they won the chip. So just that name itself, the presence of Ignite, you have to watch out for. It may not be the scariest roster in the world, but you can't give that name up.
Can't rule out anyone.
Right, exactly. Do you have any final thoughts on the Novice League before we go up to Prospect?
My final thoughts would be look out for Kiwis and Wisps because they're two scary teams and probably the runners. And whenever they play, I think they play next week on Monday. And whoever wins that, that could be a grand finals team face off.
Possibly, unless somehow, some way they're on the same side of the bracket. But we're gonna have to look into that once the bracket starts to form a little bit. So
Mhm.
now we're gonna head up to Prospect, which is kind of my home turf. I've been here ever since I've started in Nemesis. I'm not playing right now, but hey, I'm a little bit more knowledgeable of what's going on in the Prospect League, so I'll start us off here. Warhawks, I mean, they've clinched a playoff berth already as 13-0. That's crazy. 13-0, you already clinched playoffs. There's only 18 games in a season. They still have 5 games to go, and they're done. They don't even have to play. Realistically, I mean, they're just fighting for seeding at this point. So that's absolutely mind-boggling how early they got to play. Oh, excuse me, play off. I was gonna say play off position. Then you have your Melons 10-3, Bandits also 10-3. Then it slowly starts to trickle down, and once I look at it, the 10 seed, they're 5-8, which this is another league that's more top heavy on the standings because the way I normally look at like the last play in position, they're like a 500 record. For those that you don't know what 500 means, they have the same amount of wins as losses. So that's like what my baseline of it and how I judge if it's top heavy or not, in my opinion. But I know you were in Prospect League a little while with me, Midnight. What can you tell me about the Prospect League right now?
You know, I've been in Prospect League for a little too long. Probably, I think every season besides 3 seasons. So I have my team, my old team from last season, the Melons, still the AGM of that org. Uh, I got Melons, Warhawks, Gladiators is also a sneaky team this season. Also, always gotta look out for them, that team. But there's like 3, 4 teams that are like clear front runners, and the rest are just tailing behind them.
Yeah, I think the true fight is not going to be Like, yeah, you have your good teams at the top 6 seeds, but I truly think the fight is gonna be in those play-in spots. Because as of right now, you have the Minotaurs that are in the 14th spot, which that are 4 and 9. They're technically only one game back from that last and final play-in spot, which is crazy. So you're gonna have to be very competitive in prospect, especially if you're in that position. Because even if you're 4 and 9, like I just said, 4 and 9, 5 and 8, you have a chance to make it still. And it's gonna come down to the final match, like it always does, and the tiebreakers especially will come into effect.
I'm pretty sure 4-9. If you win out and some teams start losing, you could even make it to the top 6.
Absolutely. It just depends on your division, because your division your top team makes your division. Because we've seen in the past that maybe the fourth seed is a lot worse than the fifth seed, and it's just how it goes. So
Mhm.
just always be careful of that, guys, because sometimes even if you're that last playing team, you can make a push and make a big upset. Like last season, I'll talk about it again. Ignite. They were the 10th seed. They barely made it in. They won the whole thing. Anything is possible, especially given the chance, and any team can beat any team on any given day. But give me one team, just one team, that you think will be eliminated from playing contention.
I think the obvious choice is velocity and rooks. But if you wanna get a little spicy between from play-in into, like, the top 12, I honestly think that Wyverns and possibly even Hyperdova might go down, and Origin and Vipers can just make plans.
Good pick. I was thinking also Wyverns. I just don't know about the Wyverns. They've always been this weird team to me. That's like kind of competitive, not really. They're always on the wire every season. I'm here, so I can also see that they always kind of trickle out. I mean, prove me wrong, guys. If you're on the Wyverns, prove me wrong. Seriously. And
Yeah,
then also, I think the Banshees. I feel like they're also kind of in the same boat. It's like they're always on the wire, then they always kind of dimmer off in the back half of the season. Not
yeah,
necessarily the players that are on the roster, just the name. I think always just carries it. And I think on the
I was the
top of that,
same.
I could be biased a little bit, but I think Flurry might even slide into 10. And also either Origins or Vipers take that last spot as well. Final regards.
Not really.
All right. We're gonna head to the Challenger League, which I know you're very happy to talk about because it's your
Yeah,
home turf this time, and
my home turf.
I'll let you take it away.
Every sometimes I get a little bit of an ego every time I play into this league. Me being surprisingly low MMR being a starter, it's very weird to adjust to the speed of play. But as I got along, I got used to the pace. I felt like I deserved my starter spot. Uh, I feel like the top teams right now would be obviously my team Papayas with some bias. You got Race, obviously heavy hitters right now. Raptors. You also got, as much as would hate to say it, Rocketman and Ascension are pretty up there. But overall, this Charlie League is pretty even right now.
Yeah, nobody's clinched a playing spot, which is also it makes it seem competitive, especially because in every other league that we've talked about, not including provisional, there's at least one clinch in a fashion of a playoff or a play-in. So that means it's probably more competitive than most of the leagues, as tiebreakers could also put into effect in this. But there's I see a lot of teams like you were talking about that are competitive. Granted, the 10th seed is the 7 and 6 bishops, which there that means that's on par to what I think the minimum should be to make the play-ins. Which that's crazy to think because if you look at every other league, the only other league that truly has like a 500 team, like I say, is Titan. That's also a 7 and 6 record. So, Midnight, tell me two of these teams that you're most scared of that's not in the top four.
Top four, I would have to say Ascension, because their play style is really weird towards my team. It's kind of hard and annoying to counter. Another team would probably be in my division, Snowstorm. They also play a little weird, but I know my team can definitely beat Snowstorm and Ascension with our main roster if it's on any given Monday.
You didn't say Wednesday.
I didn't say Wednesday. Wednesday, we have our sub play every Wednesday because Goober has church service, funny enough, on Wednesdays.
Hey,
Yeah, you gotta respect it.
hey, it is what it is, and those things are,
Mhm,
it's life. You gotta live your life. Yeah, this is all fun and games in a league, but
yep.
you gotta respect your life. And as I see in the background, I see a lemonade can sitting right there. A
My
little bit off
room's all type
topic,
of a mess right now too.
but yeah, yeah, we're in the same division. I see that three of us are here. We're all 8-5. I don't know how tiebreakers worked out, but our division's kind of in the weird spot to where anybody can still take it out of three teams. Granted, the Griffins are out of it at this point, most likely, because what are the odds that all three teams are going to lose, right? But yeah,
Yeah, they're unlucky.
I think Charlie is actually the most competitive league this season, my opinion. So,
I would
um,
have to agree too.
final regards, Midnight. Anything you got for Charlie? Speak up
Uh,
now or forever hold your peace.
I would like to say one controversial opinion is that I feel like Assassins were like the Bandits last season, if you know what I mean. They start off real hot and they'll slowly go back down. I feel like they'll get, in my personal opinion, with probably lots of ego, that in the playoffs, they'll get a hard reality checked in the first round.
Hey, we will see if that comes to tuition or not. And we're gonna hop up to the rival league now. We're gonna start talking about these higher up players. They kind of know what they're doing. Maybe not so much. The egos are a lot out. They're way out there. Probably even more out there than novice. But hey, novice is way different than this rival league because people can actually hit the ball in the air with consistency for the most part. I know there's some whiffs out there. Um, Little roast there, even though a lot lower than these rival guys. But um, we have one team that has already clinched the playing spot, which is Distortion at 10-3. And we have Thunderbirds at the same record, but have not clinched yet. And we're just going to go down the list here all the way to the Chimeras at the 10th seed, which is 5-8. Bearcats is also 5-8, but also in the 12th seed is also 5-8. So it's all up for grabs, and then the two teams below it is 4-9, and then you have 3-10, which it's very surprising to me. Which I kind of just realized Hydra is the 16th seed after their
But
crazy season last season. They're now on the bottom. Granted, I know it's not the same roster, but it's just crazy to think. What do you think?
you would you would never expect Seabiscuit to be not in the play-ins at least. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I always feel like Hydra is a team that always makes the playoffs. Every season, I always see them somehow. It may not be the one seed, but they always make the playoffs. It's kind of weird to see them that are not really that competitive this season. But
Yeah.
we're talking about a little bit more about competitive. See, what do
Yeah,
you think about these top six teams that we got going on right now? As of right now, we have Distortion all the way down to the Pineapples.
I feel like the even top 8, top 10 teams are all really competitive together. And you got Vortex, Isaac, really good. Distortion, Hawk, exceptional. Did he get All-Star this season? I'm pretty sure Hawk got All-Star. Well, Hawk, you got Vortex, Hawk. As much as people in Rival like to joke that it's just Hawk on the roster, you gotta give some credit to the rest of the roster to help out.
Absolutely. Um, so just overall looking at it, rival, I see realistically just a handful of teams actually really making a push for it, making a statement. It's my opinion. Any of those top six teams, even we could stretch down to eight. I can see winning it all. That's how competitive I think it is. I don't think it's as competitive as Chally, but I think there's more of a mixture of who can actually win it all, especially with roster changes throughout the season.
I feel like Rival is kind of like who's better on that day than just Challenge. I feel like it's even in terms of skill, and every day they're all probably sometimes consistent. Rival is who's better on that day. I think pineapples can beat anyone on any given day, or lose to anyone on any given day. That's what I feel like in the top 8 teams right now.
Yeah, it's just gonna come down to, like you said, who's gonna win on what day. And I think it's gonna make a true difference, especially in playoffs with that best of 7 format. We're gonna truly see who's the more consistent team. Best of 5, okay, sure. But when you throw another game you need to win into the mix, it only takes one to make the dominoes fall.
Yep.
I mean, it does truly. So, on that note, do you have any final regards on Rival Midnight?
You just got to see how they go. That's all I gotta say.
Let's go Whiteout. Okay, we're gonna move on. So we're gonna head up to the Titan League where we got the Godfathers. Holy smoke! Who would have thought those guys would be up there? Sorry, Sans. Yeah, I know
You
they have
just
a
gotta
really good
roast
team
Sans
though.
games.
Yeah, I do. But um, as soon as they're drafted, I knew they were gonna be pretty good. Having that whole Godfathers roster, they've already clinched the playing spot. Good for them. And then we have Pinnacle, 10-3. And we're gonna drop down to the 10th seed, Nebula at 7-6. But I mean, call me biased if you want. I have to put this out there now. Blizzard, the three-time champs, are not in a play-in spot. I have to put it out there. I'm not trying to be biased. They're not in there.
Let's
What are
say
your thoughts,
bananas.
Midnight?
I would say bananas are not in the playing spot because bananas, ever since they got Uh, Robert got his friend Rick into this league. They've been 3-0 in every team. They, I think, recently took a team to game 5 and lost, unfortunately. I think that was Galaxy, actually. So it's probably the same as Rival who can win on that given day. I do think Bananas is a really strong roster. They won their last 3, 4 games besides yesterday. I'm trying to figure out who we win against. Some of those teams, I think, were in the playoff spot right now that they beat.
Well, just looking at this, I see the Dragons setting up at the 6th seed at 6-7. So that's totally up for grabs for anybody that can get it, especially in that
Mhm.
conference. But Titan, I truly think, you have your Pinnacle, you have your Phoenix, and then also the Godfathers as basically top runners. My personal opinion, I don't believe the Krakens have what it takes. As they're high up like that, I don't think they have what it takes.
I don't think so either.
There's my hot take. Um, to these playing teams here, um, I still think anything's up for grabs.
Yeah,
9 and below, I think when you start to reach the Inferno, which is 8 and 5, I think it's a little bit harder to push for, especially because if they win one more game, they kind of almost lock in a playing spot. Like I said, the 500 mark, 9-9, is what I look forward to the most. But hey, there's still Rock League to be played, and these players can still beat anybody, especially on any given day, like we've been talking about. But
yeah.
Titan
I
League,
just
I do. Oh, sorry, good.
sorry. I just went to go check. Bananas beat Vanguard 3-1, so it really is up in the air.
Absolutely. Do you have any final regards, Midnight, on the Titan League, or just anything that we've talked about tonight?
I don't have anything.
For me, Titan League, I think it's crazy to believe how the Godfathers are in it. Like I said, I know they're a very good team, and we're just gonna wait and see. I don't think they're gonna win it all. I think it's gonna be a playing team, no matter who that is. I think a playing team's gonna win it all in Titan. Mark my words.
Who do you think are gonna win?
I'm I'm not 100% sure. I just think it's gonna be a playing team. I think we're gonna get surprised this season.
I feel like it's gonna be a real surprise or a middle of a pack team that no one's gonna expect to win it
And
all.
hey, sometimes those middle of the pack teams are better than some of those top teams because we also have to keep in mind that it doesn't matter what league it is. These rosters that we're seeing, most of them aren't from the start of the season. So
Yeah,
you also have to put in effect this roster may not be set record. They might be 3-0, but their team record is like 4 and okay, whatever, 9, for example. All right, just throwing a number out there. So just be wary of it. Thank you, Midnight, for joining
Mhm.
me, and
Thank you for
thank you
having me.
guys for listening to a podcast. We finally getting one out. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. I'm, I'm kind of basically told to tell you guys to do that. But yeah, thank you guys once again for doing that, and thank you, Glaze, for recording. Glaze, I don't know if you can speak from the heavens or if you're muted, but thank you for helping us record this podcast. And hopefully, we'll see you guys on another podcast this season. Take care, guys.